Welcome back to Sunday Night in America. Iran is the puppet master using proxies to attack U.S. troops. The U.S. responded, hitting Iranian-linked targets, but is that enough to deter? Does Iran see the war in Gaza as a way to lure the U.S. into a deeper West versus Arab-Persian conflict? And does the U.S. have the stomach for more conflict? Richard Greenberg was on the National Security Council where he directed the countering of Iranian weapons of mass destruction, and he joins us now. Welcome to you. Thank you for joining us. What precisely is Iran up to, and are they even making an effort to conceal their fingerprints?
Well, thanks for having me, Trey. As you said, Iran is behind pretty much everything we see going on in the Middle East today. And as much as the administration tried for 3 weeks to downplay Iran's role in the October 7th massacre, downplay Iran's role in sponsoring all of these militia attacks against American forces, a contractor dying, troops injured with traumatic brain injury, we know it's all Iran setting fires across the Middle East. Why are they doing that? Why is Iran suddenly on offense to this extent? And the reason is we've had 2.5 years of an appeasement posture, turning maximum pressure into maximum deference, maximum concessions, trying to chase after this regime, desperate for a nuclear deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran. And so if today Tehran looks out at the Middle East and says Joe Biden still wants that nuclear deal, he hasn't snapped back the UN sanctions, he let the UN missile embargo expire, he's not enforcing sanctions, we still have cash flowing to us, $10 billion from Iraq, $6 billion in Qatar, the oil sanctions not being enforced. The question would be, why is Joe Biden still doing that? And I think Mike Gallagher was exactly right. They're still holding a candle that if this calms down, there will still be a nuclear deal. Why do they want a nuclear deal, Trey? Because they're afraid of having to confront Iran militarily if Iran tries to develop nuclear weapons. So again, the president can strike a couple of unmanned buildings in Syria and say, don't to the Ayatollah. But the Ayatollah is looking at the full chessboard, and he sees a president that's actually deterred.
All right, we heard from the exiled Crown Prince of Iran earlier this week. I want you to take a listen to what he had to say, and then I want to ask you something on the other side.
I've been saying it so many times before that until now we have been fighting the tentacles, but nobody has gone for the eye of the octopus. And the eye of the octopus is ultimately sitting in Tehran. It's this regime that basically is conducting via its proxies all of these conflicts that we see in the region. And the solution ultimately is for this regime to be gone. And I think the best way to get rid of this regime is to help the Iranian people overcome it, overthrow it, and ultimately replacing it with a truly secular democratic system that would then be able to put things back on track in terms of peace, in terms of stability, in terms of good neighborliness.
Mr. Goldberg, you mentioned Iran's military. I mean, the U.S., I guess, doesn't ever go looking for conflict, but is there something about the Iranian military that makes us even more, timid in how we deal with them? Is their military, on par with Russia and China's and our own?
No, not at all. I mean, they do have the largest ballistic missile force in the region, and that's not something to look away from. We have to deal with missile threats from Iran. They also could use fast boats and mines to try to disrupt us in the Persian Gulf. We can defeat that. It would just take a little bit of time if they tried. And of course, they would suffer the consequences right in Tehran. Listen, Iran is afraid of the United States. Every time in history that they've actually met the metal and steel of the United States military, they have run away very quickly. They do not want a direct confrontation, and yet they see a president who fears such a confrontation and signals it every day. And so this regime, if they see weakness, will seize on it. They'll keep pushing and expanding. Remember, death to America, death to Israel. If they see weakness from either one, they will pounce on it.
Yeah, I mean, my history's not great, but I could have sworn that's the country that took American hostages, which then led to Ronald Reagan. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Richard Goldberg. Appreciate your expertise. We'll look forward to having you again as this war in Israel continues.
Thanks, Trey.